Welcome to the podcast that does more than just discuss. Embodying Spirit unpacks key metaphysical and psycho-spiritual theories through heartful discussion and playful debate, and then gives you applications and exercises to bring these concepts into your own life. Isabel Almeida, wellbeing coach, and Tārā Love, healing arts facilitator and ceremony guide, have been on the conscious healing train for 40 years between them, studying a range of modalities from yoga and somatic healing to community engagement and philosophy. As best friends, co-creators, dynamic mothers, and dreamers of a better way to live, they have been seeking to live in conscious community for a long time. This is a collection of the conversations around consciousness, connection, and community they've been having for many years. The duo draw on a vast range of theories and schools of thought, claiming the sacred feminine space of relationality between many influences from Hermeticism and Vedic scripture to quantum physics to shamanism and beyond. Also claiming their deeply intuitive inner knowing. They share these deep chats, ideas, and debates openly, bringing new embodied perspectives to ancient wisdom. Each episode begins with a discussion, leading into an immersive exercise and a guided meditation. They share these vital ideas and tools in practical and grounded ways to inspire waves of self-empowered awakening in the world at a time when we need it most. We really hope you enjoy. Hello, beautiful souls, wherever you are in the world. Welcome to episode 8 of Embodying Spirit. And this title of this episode is Pseudo Zen and Spiritual Bypassing. No such thing as healed, constant compassion. And just calling in that compassion right now for everyone here and for us. We were just having a little chat beforehand and both kind of, you know how it goes. Some days you feel good and some days you don't. And it's just important to bring that compassion in even more so on the days that you're not feeling so aligned. Interesting. Yeah, I like this title. Spiritual Bypassing. Somebody actually left a book in my house called Spiritual Bypassing, which I think you read, Isabel, when you were here visiting. I haven't read it yet, but yeah, I still feel that I can do an episode of a podcast on spiritual bypassing because it is something that plagues the spiritual community. And I just want to clarify also in the title Pseudo Zen in the kind of pop culture way of like, oh, I'm so Zen, just so chilled, being all kind of posturing on the spiritual, performance. That's what this is about, because it's something that plagues the spiritual and neo-spiritual world quite a lot. So the recap before we get into it, which is something that I feel like, it's kind of we are coming round to embedding this understanding of reality that we share into this whole kind of series. So if we are all one, we're all spirit, we're all parts of spirit incarnated into these individual forms in this lifetime. We are never fully whole in this experience. We never feel completely whole, although we may glimpse it through these beautiful moments of ego death that we have through meditation, through spiritual experience. We can have an experience of the wholeness. We can know ourselves as spirit in the moment, but we are always playing this game of hide and seek. We are having many mini ego deaths along the way, and yet we have come to have this individual experience, to be individuated parts, to be in that separation as much as it may cause us pain. And therefore, in this individual experience, in this feeling of separation, we can relax because there's nothing going wrong. Because that struggle, that feeling of separation, that feeling of lostness and not knowing our wholeness, of feeling separated from ourselves, which is essentially separated from spirit, from the total oneness, from that bliss state that we believe, return to and that we have come from. That struggle is the human experience. And therefore, yeah, there's nothing going wrong in having that feeling, in having that struggle, in having that not knowingness. And the idea is not to be in this constant state of bliss 100% of the time. Right?
And totally. And that is an illusion, that obviously it's an illusion that we're separate from spirit. So of course, we are exactly where we're supposed to be and having this experience. And this ultimate desire that we have for enlightenment, is one that the ego desires. It's only the ego that desires to feel enlightened. The soul
That's such
already.
a beautiful paradox, right? Like it is the feeling of enlightenment, or that desire for enlightenment, is an experience of the ego. I love that. Such a head fuck. It's like, no, but surely enlightenment is to be one. Yeah, but in order to have that feeling of oneness as the individual, because to have the feeling of it, you have to still have a sense of an individual. It's going to be an egoic thing, right?
And it's so funny that, so many of us are out here saying that that's what we want, right? And it's like, it's the same thing going back to the ego death, isn't it? It's that similar idea. I want ego death. I want ego death. And it's like, who is that wants ego death, and why? Really, if you just relaxed into the moment and was just here now, you'd be at one with all anyway, right? Like that's really.
And it's only the ego that has that desire to want anything, to be enlightened, to have ego death. Exactly. To want, to grasp, as the Buddhists would say, right? The craving of enlightenment, the aversion of separation, that is the ego. And it is simply to relax into the now and to the what is. That brings us greater peace.
Yeah, and I think about the word enlightenment. Like, if you listen to the phonetic, enlight mind, meaning mind, and so really it's about becoming lighter. Yet this journey of enlightenment is such a serious journey that we go on as well, and it's quite a heavy idea in reality. Whereas, really, of course, we just want to feel, that's what it is, isn't it? We just want to feel light. We just want to feel whole. We just want to, feel
the
healed.
Lightness of mind. And also, I like also that what you're saying, like enlightenment, meant being mind, light, that it is also bringing light to the mind, like, but that's also then a lightness of mind, kind of almost being like a lessening, a letting go of mind.
I like that.
So it being like a heavy concept, I must be enlightened, and we're thinking about enlightenment all the time and trying so hard to get there in our tiny little minds, bless us all. Again, is kind of, not really going to get us very far. It's just sort of,
And of course, there is something about the journey. I mean, because neither do we want to be asleep in our ego and thinking that we're out here competitive and, needing to just in survival mode. So, of course, there's something very earnest about wanting to be in God awareness all the time.
Completely. And I guess it is just our programming as well, like in terms of the way we have all co-created this world of productivity, and there being an end goal, and I've got to get here, and so we just make everything a competition with somewhere we've got to get to. So healing becomes this thing of like, also, there's an end point. I'm healed, and we're all waiting to get healed, to be enlightened, to be whole. Like, I just got to do one more thing and then I'm going to be healed. If I just do this, and it becomes this kind of wretched race to get there. And even just the concept that there is an end goal as well, right? When actually it's an endless unfolding. It's through lifetimes even of becoming, and as we say, one that's never going to fully realize in any lifetime. Actually, as the way that we understand it, right? Even though you can become into greater and greater awareness, there's always more awareness that you can come into. There's always more compassion, and we'll talk about that now. Like that we can achieve. There's always, there's there's no point in rushing because there's nowhere you're really getting to.
Yeah, and that's a funny one as well, because we say, like, you know, there's no such thing as being fully healed, but at the same time we can be healed, as in grounded, healed, like within the moment, within the now. It's like, so it's just such a paradox.
Yeah, I like that play.
Right?
Like, just to clarify that, so you're saying heel as in HWEL, like the heels of our feet. Like, as an
idea that, we can be at one in the moment, and, you know, and if there is no time, then actually we can be fully at one in the moment. So it's
and that's also nice when we collapse the idea of time, and again, I think we're going to talk about this more in another episode, but just that if we take away the linear understanding of things, that there is an unhealed us and then a healed us, and we're on a journey from A to B, and we're trying to get, you know, further along it, but just it's only now, and we can relax and ground into the now and through our heels into the earth, then we can be healed. But that idea of what that means isn't the same as, because I've aligned all my chakras and done all these meditations and had all these part journeys and done all this kind of, you know, stuff, that now I understand all of my shadows, and, you know, which in itself is kind of an oxymoron, right? Because it's like, to see the shadow, then it's not going to be in shadow. That's the whole point. You're always going to have a shadow. There's always going to be parts, right? So it's like, it all just comes down into acceptance, really, doesn't it? Actually, so just accepting what is right here and now.
Yeah, exactly. And becoming aware of what's coming up, and then accepting it here and now, and then moving on through that journey. Is because that's the thing. The thing is the ego, or, you know, the human experience is one of experience. So it's exactly that. So of course it can never be fully known, and therefore it's a constant journey of awakening to yourself and aligning.
And I think also kind of, you know, one of those traps that we fall into with that idea of there being a kind of end goal to being healed, or there's also this kind of like the idea of there being like a kind of hierarchy of spirituality as well, you know, that someone can be more spiritual than somebody else, you know, and that again, it's all kind of in our programming and the old technologies of someone being more enlightened than I'm more enlightened than you, like that kind of idea. And often I think it comes in a self-deprecating way, you know, like, oh, they're more enlightened than I am, you know, that kind of idea. And really, you know, we are all spirit, as we're saying, and everybody has their part to play within this beautiful cosmic dance of spirit. So no one can be more spirit than anyone else. We're all equally spirit. And yes, people can have greater awareness or can be in greater amounts of love, but even that, in the knowing that nothing is constant and everything's always changing. Always, again, one of the Buddhist teachings, you know, permanent impermanence, that you may, and also that we're only seeing from our own perspective and the individual self, that you might have the awareness of somebody else in greater awareness or in greater love than you in this moment, but honest to God, there'll be another moment where you are in greater awareness or in greater love. And also in different parts of your life, you might be looking at somebody specifically in a particular arena of their life or their world, or through a particular lens, or in a particular moment, or in a particular way, and see that greater awareness, see that greater love. But in another area or another arena, it's going to be different. Plus, as we said in previous episodes, everything's a reflection of you. So if you're becoming aware of their awareness and their compassion, then that's also because it's a reflection of you, within that. So in fact, this idea of like, of being more spiritual than somebody else is a load of bullshit, really.
And of course, though, people can, if they've come. They become one with certain concepts, they can open your awareness to that and help you feel lighter, you know, because we can be stuck in unawareness, or we're just unable to we're just unable to see through wherever we're at in that moment. We're caught up in the not wanting something, and someone come along and they can help to realign us. And we do that for other people too. I mean, we're constantly waking people up, probably without even realizing it, just by certain things that we say, that they walk away feeling lighter from that conversation. And, you know,
that's the beautiful thing of the oneness, right? That we are all connected, that we are in a collective consciousness. And that therefore, if you're, like I was saying, if you're aware of someone else's awareness, that's because your awareness is also growing, and that we are collectively lifting each other up in consciousness. And that's definitely true. We are on a journey of awakening, like as a collective whole, right? Like there is greater awareness now than there's ever been. There's greater enlightenment now than there's ever been. And that's an ongoing experience that we're having as a species, as a consciousness, right? Like but the kind of hierarchy of it, or spiritual one-upmanship or whatever, well, it's just a game of not enoughness that we're playing still, right? In that, like, there is another way of
there is nobody. I mean, well, I don't know, put your hands up if it's you, but there's nobody that I believe is at a point where they're fully in awareness and, you know, just living in that light. Or if they are, they're probably somewhere in a cave by themselves where, you know, there's no reflecting back why they could actually feel that sense of wholeness. Because for as long as we're interacting, then we're being shown more of ourselves. So,
exactly,
you know, and in
exactly.
saying that,
go on, sorry.
Yeah, I was going to say, in saying that, I do think it's really important to have frameworks that help us to, you know, to help us see as well, and to help us understand ourselves, because otherwise we can just become, you know, we can become lost as well. So of course there's things that can help us find ease, so that we're not just
floundering about like fish in the ocean, as I sometimes feel. Yes, definitely. Definitely. Yeah. And we're not, I think that's important. We're not kind of saying, oh, all these spiritual practices, I mean, gosh, we'd be undermining our own work if we said that they were all useless. You know, we believe deeply in developing and mastering different awareness practices and ways of coming into greater knowing of self. That's what this whole podcast is about, right? And we help each other through those practices. But I guess, it's just trying to dispel that myth of it being, of there being an end goal. Like, I think that's what's really important. That's one of the things that I just really want to amplify for people, that we are on a constant journey. And it's not, even though maybe it's, we are, as I say, constantly expanding in consciousness. At the same time, we will all have moments of shadow and light and feeling aligned. And that's the game of hide and seek that we've been talking about as well, right?
And it's absolutely, I mean, I know for me, and I'm sure for you as well, Tārā, that it's beautiful when you uncover those, you know, the shadow or the illusion, you know, and you feel like it's so rewarding. It feels like, oh my God, like
the aha moments.
Like, you know, it's that's how I'm creating that, or that's what I, you know, that's that for, or that's what I'm carrying there, or that's what I'm projecting there. And, you know, and that's beautiful. And if we understand that the real work is actually coming into greater compassion for ourselves and others, then actually we enjoy the process as well. We don't then get upset that we're not just in an enlightened state, because we understand our work is the world's work, as in, you know, we're the more that we help to find space within us and love for ourselves and for others, is the more love and space there is in the world. So it's like, great, I definitely want to be a part of that mission.
And we're gonna let's expand on that a bit more, and initially also that understanding that's helped me so much, in that, which can sometimes feel a bit opposed to the aha moments, because you're like, but if I have aha moments, then there must be more aha moments, and that must be the point, to just have them. But within that, to hold both, again, it's one of those beautiful paradoxes of the world, that that we are perfect, you know, that we're perfectly imperfect and imperfectly perfect. And that exactly as we're meant to be. There's no more enlightened or more spiritual we need to be right here and right now. There's no greater awareness that we should have. I cancelled the word should from my vocabulary a few years ago now, actually. And even though I'm really good at not using it out loud, I realize that it's an endless journey as well, that in itself, of eradicating the kind of vibration of should. Because it's all tied up in judgment and self-judgment, from
guilt.
from my way of being, exactly. But really to fall into that that understanding that everything right here and right now is exactly as it's meant to be. And that's what I love and respect so much about the whole Rewire Desire process, your kind of coaching process. And I love I don't know if the 5 A's that you had, of what they: acceptance, awareness, allowing, appreciation, and then that leads to alignment, right? Did I get it right?
Well, it's actually
Okay.
awareness. So first we're coming into awareness of, and this process can be used either in the moment or can be used with something that you've been working on as well. That's like keeps repeating on itself. So just to sort of align in the moment, because the whole point is coming into greater alignment. So, you become aware of what's coming up for you. Is it going towards what you're wanting or away from what you're wanting? Generally, when we're in contention with ourselves, or we're feeling in
Unaligned.
cognitive dissonance,
Yeah,
or unaligned. That was an easier word.
Yeah, no, go on.
Thank you. Generally, it's because we're moving away from what we want, and that's where our thought is. I'm never gonna be, or I wish I was, or So in that moment, it's coming to awareness of really where am I at, and then coming into the acceptance of, what's creating this? Is it something? How am I? What's going in? What am I putting into this? Where have I come from with this thought? Where, is this something that has always been here? And accepting actually how you've come to have this idea, or what's stopping you from having the progressive aligned idea. And then from there, you can move into greater appreciation of actually how everything is really working to support you, and how this is a moment of progression, not a moment,
of
it's
learning,
only because of the way that
everything's a gift, like I love that.
Exactly.
It's a mantra that I've learned from you, which is just so empowering. Yeah.
And then with that connectedness, you're moving into allowing, because now you can have the thoughts, the feelings that connect and that are actually working together to move you more towards that idea and that concept that you're looking to connect with, which moves you into alignment. At this point, you're not having to try, right? Because the allowing part is almost like it's the rewiring. So it's that remembering. But then when we're moving into alignment, this is now where we're thinking from a heartful place, and our mind is being illuminated by the heart, because we're now in a higher understanding. And so from there, that can help us in the moment. We can have a moment thought where we're just out of saying, oh, I'm never going to be able to do this. Oh, no, that's not what I'm thinking. That's not what I'm wanting to. No, I can do this. Okay, well, I have to accept that I've been having these lower thoughts. I've been thinking that I'm not capable, but no, I know I'm capable. Okay, and then I can see, oh, no, because actually, I'm unique and I'm the person desiring this. So, of course, I can be grateful for myself in this moment. I can be grateful for life, grateful for the fact that I got up this morning. Always so much to be grateful for. And that immediately raises our vibration. So when we start to be grateful, we're no longer thinking in that lower level way. We're now thinking with open possibility. So then moving into allowing in this moment becomes that, okay, I'm going to exercise these thoughts and feelings, and I'm going to believe I can, I'm going to act as I can and do this from an I can place. And then we're going to see that actually we're now not having to do the rewind, because we're now going to just be in that channeling of, oh, okay, I'm here in the moment and all is coming to play, it's all working. And of course, that's that's the rewiring in the moment. But then if we were doing that on the wider scale, then it would just be a more constant practice, and one that in the end we will find more naturally rewired. Because really what's wanting us, what's wanting us in our hearts is what is for us. we're not, it's just that we're, in the not enoughness. That means that we are in dissonance, we're not actually aligned. So, and that's what the process is. I mean, that's why it's important to do the healing work, right? That's why we do the work, is so that we can come into greater self-knowledge and really work from the heart, because that's where, we're electromagnetic out here, we're powered by the heart. And so, so in doing that, we can start to really feel more enlightened as well, which is like, that's the funny thing is the...
And it's not about changing who we are, actually. It's just about coming into that really greater self-love, right? Greater unconditional love of self, which is that acceptance, as you say, and that allowing and that appreciation for everything that we are, the perfect imperfection and the imperfect perfection that we are in here and now, not trying to be more spiritual or do more things. It's like to be present with all that I am in the love of it, in the love of the beautiful mess that I am.
Exactly, to become like more heart, mind coherent. And in order to do that, we really need to have true compassion for ourselves. Like, and actually that has to happen in the moment of not like, why am I not thinking this way? Why am I not? No,
or like, I just need to get here and then I'll be all right. Do you know what I mean? That's also the big one, right? Like if I just align my chakras one more time, then I'm going to be, then I'll be all right. If I just do 2 more hours of yoga every day, then I'm going to be, that's also it, right? When they're related as well, right? Like, it's like, why am I not doing that? That's why I'm not aligned.
Exactly. And that's the thing. And then compassion becomes a process of, I'm compassionate with myself in the awareness of myself. I'm compassionate in the acceptance of myself. It's not like, I accept that it was because I had, that experience over there, why I'm having this thought now. And, I can't believe I'm doing that. It's like, I accept that that's why I'm thinking this way, because, someone told me I was fat. And and now I'm thinking that, I can't get fit because I've got this, it's like, that's why, look at me, like, I love you. And, and it's, and actually you can get rid of that voice because it's not true. You can do anything, you're really capable. And like, there's just a different way. It's like, really, it's the best mother. You want to be your own best mother.
We often say that, right? How do I mother myself?
Yeah.
How can I mother myself whole? Like that is really such a big thing, because bless all of our mothers, most of them didn't have whole mother experiences themselves, and and we can cry many tears for the mothering that we didn't have, or the maligned mothering that we had, and yet all we can do is bring it to ourselves. I just want to take a moment to really unpack that idea of compassion, because compassion is a word that people bandy around quite a lot, in life in general, actually, not even just in the spiritual community. And I think being compassionate is seen as a really spiritual thing as well, right? Like, you've got to be compassionate. You have to be compassionate, like, which I guess translates normally as like, understand where they're coming from, right? Be empathetic. Understand their way. And I remember that we were unpacking this in an incident that happened a few years ago, actually, where I was interacting with somebody around renting a space for ceremonies, actually, and they were, very spiritual person, and I'm also meant to be a very spiritual person. Anyway, and their behavior was really not working for me, and they were being really difficult and sticky around my use of this space, and but the thing is that they had also, their power had also kind of been undermined in their position as the custodian of this space, and they were really trying to protect the space, and and I could understand why they were behaving the way they were behaving, as in I got it, like I understood enough, because I'm so spiritual, that it wasn't personal, that it wasn't really about me, even though they were behaving in quite mean ways, and they were really blocking my ability, and they were reneging on a agreement that had been made by somebody else, and I had a lot of people waiting on this booking, and they were really trying to they were causing a lot of obstacles to me being able to use this space, and for it to be a heartful kind of interaction with how this space was going to be used. Let's just put it that way, right? But and it was causing a lot of stress for me as well, at a point where I was needing to go into ceremony. So it's not the point where I should have been in this kind of conflict, but kind of going into meditation and preparation and putting my energy towards all the souls that were coming for ceremony, right? So this was really conflicting for me, but at the same time I was like, I know it's not personal, and and I remember talking to you, and because I was also feeling a responsibility to all these people that I was going to be holding in the ceremony, and there's a possibility that it wasn't going to be able to happen, and I was going to let them down, and I was like, I'm being compassionate, and I was really upset as well, because as much as I wasn't wanting to take it personally, I was obviously feeling the rejection and feeling the negative emotions coming, but also I was like, but I'm being compassionate. Like I want to, I see from their perspective, and I can see that they obviously have got issues with authority and judgment themselves, and you know what I mean? And I just remember you saying, but are you really being compassionate? And I was like, oh, how dare you say such a thing, Isabel? Of course I am the most compassionate person. I'm so spiritual. I'm so compassionate. And then you broke it down. Do you want to take it from there, or do you want me to continue?
No, continue. I'm enjoying the story, actually.
And I just remember you saying to me, like, but what's compassion? And we unpacked compassion, and we were like, well, compassion is actually unconditional love. That is what compassion is. Do you want to do the etymology, because you're good with these things?
Com is to be with, and passion would be another word for love. Right? Compassion at, I'm not sure what at is. What's at? I'm not sure about that one, but I have heard, like, they break down compassionate as being the highest form of love. Right. And it makes complete sense, because it's not about there's no ownership in it. There's no, it's not the love that is personal, that I love you. It's without, it's where you're able to actually suffer with that person, is actually what it means. So when we're talking about it in this context, it's like, to suffer with yourself, I suppose, right? Self-compassion, to be able to be with yourself and see what you're going through and how this is triggering you.
Yeah, exactly. And, that's exactly what that was the point, because you were like, are you really, first of all, like, so do you really have unconditional love for her? Like, do you really love her unconditionally? Because you kind of also think that her behavior is not that great, so are you really? And I was like, oh no, it's true that I am judging her behavior on a certain level. As much as I can understand maybe why she's behaving in a certain way, or understand where it's coming from, and understand that it's not a personal attack, I'm still in judgment, and then obviously I start to judge myself, because now I'm like realizing I'm judging her. But then you were like, but then this thing, right, of like, you cannot, that's what I deeply remember you saying to me. You cannot have compassion for somebody else until you have compassion for yourself. Boom. That's like it's like just the biggest lesson as well, because it's like, oh
yeah, and
because then you were like, because I'm dealing with all these stresses, all of this thing, like, am I really being compassionate to myself in this moment? Go on, sorry.
No, I was going to say, and it's something I struggle with myself, as in, like, it comes up for me as well, where, like, because we have such a desire to be, we're so loving and kind as the human race. Like, we have the desire to be compassionate. I mean, that's that's what they found out. Like I mentioned in the last episode, when they went around, they found out that we're just highly compassionate beings. But it's so true that the one that we often don't see because we're seeing through our eyes, so we're not actually looking at ourselves as ourselves. So we, look past our experience, and that's where we get into this whole pseudo Zen and bypassing, because we're like, I just want to implement that idea. Because I know the idea now, I've got the concept, this is what it is, and I want to do this.
I want to be spiritual.
Because this is,
yeah,
I want to, and it's, I want to be good, right? And it's like, no, you've just got to be kind, and kindness starts here.
And that's the thing, isn't it? It's like really, really being compassionate for self, which goes back to what we were talking about really accepting everything. Compassion for self is is really allowing and accepting all parts of ourself. And therefore we can't posture this idea of what it is to be spiritual. We can't, we can't submerge or push down or disallow or banish any parts of our full human expression in the kind of attempts or desires to be this outside idea of what it is to be spiritual. Yeah.
Exactly.
I mean, I love this Matthias De Stefano, who I think I talk about quite a lot, who's this amazing Argentinian gorgeous guy who can remember all his past lives and therefore has such amazing wealth of wisdom, and he's also super light and playful, and so therefore I really connect with his ideas. And he said that enlightenment is not about spirituality, it's about consciousness. And that's just really I think really important to remember, because I think we can get so stuck on the outside ideas of what spirituality is, the meditation, the yoga, the plant medicine, the whatever, like all of these different things we can do, which I'm not saying that they can't increase our consciousness or raise our consciousness or our awareness, but they can also not. They can also become ego games. So it's really about consciousness, and which is really about awareness, right?
Yeah, because those things obviously give us space to be at one with ourselves. But, we're always here. So it's not that we're not here until those moments. So even in those moments of, being less than kind to ourselves, we're still spiritual beings. It's like, we're never not spiritual. And I think that's what when we're on this journey, can be, as you say, as we are saying in this episode, right? That's what can be so trying, is that you can see yourself as not being spiritual if you're not in the ideal, not with the ideal concept of what you think the end result of spiritual will be, which is, just being so kind and peaceful in every moment. It's like, oh no, and then you can start to feel guilty and feel less than. And that's really not the point. You were never supposed to, use it as something that attacks you. That doesn't make any sense at all. So,
I mean, and to go into spiritual bypassing, I mean, it's actually super dangerous, right? Because, and a lot of people can, probably not knowingly, but use it as like a deep way to gaslight each other as well, in terms of like this posturing of spiritual zenness, and like super awakeness or super kind of chilledness. And that, but the truth is that we all have a fuck ton of trauma. Just put it out on the table. Nobody doesn't have trauma. And if anyone tells you that they're healed, then you know that they've got even more healing to do. Like, basically, is the truth of the matter. Anybody that tells you that they don't have trauma anymore and that they're completely healed is a fucking red flag. Excuse my language. Because the truth is, I mean, at the same time, you don't want to get caught in the constant, self-flagellation around your trauma, or the constant, retelling and therefore re-embedding of horrific stories of your life. You don't want to get caught constantly in that, right? Like, we are looking to assimilate and find greater relax and awareness, and as I think of spaciousness, around these things. But it's not about burying them under the bed or forgetting them or cutting them off. You can't cut your arm off and be whole. You know, you can't cut your heart out and be
Yeah.
whole. And the medicine's shown me that thousands of times. You know, it is in us. It is for us to learn to dance with the dark, you know, all these terms that we talk about. But it's like, really, we have to learn to accept, to embrace, to allow, to breathe with, to relax, to loosen the grip, but still allow it all to be there. And in that, you're never going to be this constant kind of, you know, I don't know, constant like Zen monk kind of essence. So those people that also give out that air, because I think we all know what we're talking about here when we talk about the pseudo Zen, right? You know, oh, I'm so enlightened. I'm just, you know, yes, nothing affects me, you know, and it's like, meh. I would say that's also an alarm bell. Plus, I mean, like even even the Dalai Lama, I remember watching this beautiful movie with him. I think it was the one with him and Desmond Tutu, which is great if you can get your hands on it. It's about like, and they're hilarious, and they're like these naughty little kids together as well. But he talks about still feeling angry, still feeling sad, still having all of these emotions come up, but just being able to realize, you know, the difference is between when he was younger and now is understanding that he's not just that he's also more than that, that he doesn't have to attach to them. Right? And that's the whole idea, the Buddhist idea of non-attachment, right? Non-attachment. But that again can be used in a spiritually bypassing way, that whole idea of non-attachment, right?
Well, that's what I see happen often where people are like, no, because, you know, that's being too emotional, because, you know, those that, you know, it's like coming from that non-attached way. It's like, oh no, they shouldn't be attached to that. So why are they taking it so personally? But there can also be this like kind of like disregard for people's emotions in that, where, oh, actually that's totally unspiritual, because you're completely not empathizing at all. There's no compassion there, and it's almost like, oh, they should be over that by now, you know. And I mean, don't get me wrong, I can understand as well, because I know, I mean, I can put my hands up to this one. When I was young and having gone through trauma, like it's almost like we've spoken about that now, but
Don't
no, but like
undermine
having gone
it.
through that, and I remember my mum's I know very good at doing that. But I remember, because I remember my mum still being, you know, and me wanting to spiritually bypass it before I even understood the concept, right? Like I didn't even know that's what I was doing, but like, no, that's done now. Dad's not here anymore. So all that pain, let's just like move on from that, because obviously that's what I needed to do in that moment for me to survive, to go on and to really start to build.
Protection.
And I was already looking in. Yeah, and I was looking into the concepts. I mean, but I wasn't, I mean, I was still looking for myself, looking, you know, to know thyself. But I didn't have the space to be able to hold my mother in her, in that energy of like, what felt to me like victimhood, really. And I know it was pain, but to me it felt like victim. And I was like, I can't be a victim with you. I can't be, and I need to move on. So I was looking for her to move on. And actually I look now and it's like, oh gosh, it's by my heart. Like, where was the compassion? And of course I forgive myself.
Because you didn't have that compassion for yourself as well. You know? That's like what we were saying, right?
But that's exactly it. So it's not even that I'm trying to judge those people that are in that don't be non-attached, but I understand that they're just in the in-between. They haven't reached, like it's almost like when you smoke weed.
I was just about to say, right? I think we all spiritually bypassed for many years smoking weed. I mean,
yeah. You smoke weed and you feel real good in that moment, but nothing's really been processed. It's not like, it's just that you're able to see it.
I was going to say, I'd go a step further, like, because I think I thought quite a lot about my trauma when I smoked weed, but I used to say, oh, it allows me to become the philosopher rather than being in the emotions of it, you know. And I think that was fucking cool, because instead of being angry and upset and pissed off about my whatever stepdad or whatever, that's when I started, you know, I could philosophize and sit there and you know, and think about it all. And it's like, great on the one hand, but it's also a kind of bypassing, right?
Well, the anger hasn't gone anywhere, Tara. That's the point.
Well,
so it hasn't really been processed. It's been pushed down because yeah, exactly. It's been pushed down so you can move on and have a higher idea on it. But until you're able to feel that anger or feel that reject, whatever it is that you need to feel it, then you can move on. Obviously, it's not about, you know, that's the whole point. We want to process things. We want it to move through us. We're not neither looking to hold on to it and own it or jump over it, you know. And that's why it's important to actually go through the process of being at one with these experiences, of really sitting with them, processing them, so we can move on to a real place of non-attachment, where actually, and it's the same thing as we know when we've moved on from trauma, right? We can now hear it without it triggering us. You know, that's how we know that.
And it's that thing of like, as long as the emotions are coming up, then they're here to be explored. There's nothing wrong, right? So it's like, stop, and therefore, stop that second arrow of like, oh, why am I feeling angry, or why am I feeling this? Do you know what I mean? Like, and trying to be all kind of like Zen about it. It's like, no, like this is coming up for a reason. And not just that, but emotions, energy, emotion, they're actually, I mean, that's what I've been shown by the medicine as well, that's where our power comes from. This beautiful instrument that we've been gifted in this lifetime, and I've probably said this already 1,000 times, but which is our body, has a capacity to explore and express a myriad of emotions, which we are only exploring a tiny amount of because we're afraid of their power. But that is actually where our power lies. Like, I had like such a revelation about this. It's not even like, oh, these are emotions that we have to feel, and then once we get to a certain level, we'll be able to have got all those emotions out, and then we can come to this place of peace and not. And it's like, nah. Actually, the expression of these emotions is our power. And once we can master the emotions, then we can find ways to transmute them and turn them into other beautiful things and use them as a force for good and all of these kinds of things. But they are powerful in and of themselves. The problem comes, of course, if we use them as an excuse to commit acts of violence towards other people, or we put them on other people, or we don't know how to master them, and they get out of hand, and they kind of re-traumatize, for example, as well.
Yeah, I mean, like with myself, for years, I had a problem with crying. Right? Like, obviously, because that was just beliefs around crying that, I remember saying to my mum about crying. She was like, no, you were such a good girl. You never cried. And it's like, now that's like big alarm bells, right? Like, and so now I look at it and I'm like, of course, crying's a great thing, because if you think about like a cup of water that's, that's just stuff is put into it, but it's never cleansed, then it's just going to get muddy. And, we're made of water. So now I look and I'm like, oh, Isabel, like take the opportunities to cry, because you're cleansing yourself. Yeah, you're cleansing
and nothing's
yourself.
a mistake, right? So why are we made to cry? Do you know what I mean? Like, the body wouldn't have the capacity to cry if it wasn't a really important function.
I mean, and the truth is when it comes to crying in joy, I mean, I can do that at the drop of a hat, right? Like, so it's literally my judgment, me judging my mind on what it wants to let tears out for. Do you know what I mean? No, don't cry over that pain that belongs to you, Isabel, but cry over that pain that belongs to somebody else. That's okay.
I think about it like a cut almost, It's like when you cut, you bleed, and there's a kind of release. And it makes me think of like the kind of the self-harm thing, right? That they say that people cut themselves to let the pain, the emotional pain is so much that they have to release it physically rather, and then I wonder about how much they've been allowed to have the space to cry, because in a way tears are almost like a wound that's bleeding, that needs to be released, and if you don't let those tears out, if you don't let the emotions out, then it stagnates in the body, and stagnation leads to death, just to put it bluntly. But that's that is the motion of the ocean. Is what's needed. And I think that's why we really, why I wanted to do this episode as well, because it's really to kind of stamp out that idea that like being all like om and kind of, I just meditate all the time and I'm not affected by anything. I mean, the truth of the matter is that if you're not affected by what's happening in the world, then you are dead. There's so much happening in the world on the micro and the macro scale, and I know that we're not all doom and gloom. Like, I believe this world is evolving. I believe everything happens for a reason. I believe we are, growing in greater awareness and light and love. And there's a lot of beautiful things to be grateful for and happy for. And at the same time, there's a lot of pain out there, The world's being, forests are being burnt, animals are being killed, ice caps are melting, but also on a personal level, people are dying. Even that in itself, they say that grief is the highest form of praise, right? If we don't grieve, then we're not praising those that have passed. You know, I mean, I can go on a whole rant about that and what the church did to shut down kind of methods of collective grieving. But that's also, you know, that's also where we've got a lot of it from, this idea that, oh no, stiff upper lip, can't express those emotions, you know. So we've got to grieve, we've got to express all the emotions, like the full range, all the colors of the rainbow. And being in the healthy and beautiful expression of all of that, that to me is spiritual enlightenment as well. Not and not bypassing.
Yeah, 100. Exactly. And of course, we've all got that work to do because we see it everywhere in the world. So we know that we've still got work to do here. So if anyone's sitting there saying, you know, no, I am all Zen, then their eyes must be closed, you know, and their hearts must be closed to themselves. It's
exactly.
Just,
suffering in the world is a reflection of suffering in us. And therefore, as long as there is suffering in the world, then that means that there's suffering in us. And like we said, it's not about kind of painfully amplifying that onto each other, right? Or blaming each other for it, because that would be in kind of asleepness, right? Like, but it is about allowing the expression of it and the feeling of it and the processing of it, and like in your amazing, you know, the awareness, the acceptance, and the allowing of it, and actually the appreciation of it as well, right?
Yeah. And that's what happens when we bypass. Like, that's why it's so important that we don't, because when we bypass it, that's when it comes out like this ugly monster, because it doesn't just get pushed down. You know, in the same way with anger, when we hold on, that's when we roar at the wrong person because we're not dealing with it properly. So, you know, actually, of course, that's why it's so important just to be honest and true. And there's nobody, I mean, you know, you can put on a show for somebody else and think like, you know, that you're, oh, look, I'm, you know, how zen I am. And someone else can go away and say, oh, she looks so zen. But if you're not feeling that inside, then really what's the gift there? Like, I mean, how can, you know, there's nothing earned, nothing gained, you know. Actually, it's so much nicer when you're able to be like, oh, look, there's that thing that is hurting me. And, oh, actually, I can, let me look into that. And, oh, okay. And then I can move past that. And you're like, oh, great. Now I've got another way. Or now I see this from another angle. I don't feel that pain in the same way again.
And like we say, it's only the judgment of the emotion that causes the real pain, right? It's only because we think, oh, I shouldn't be sad because we've been told it's bad. You know, that's the whole like sad is not bad mantra that I like to repeat to myself. You know, that it's only if we think it's a problem. And that's really, that is non-attachment. The non-attachment isn't not being sad. The non-attachment is not judging the sadness when it comes up. And also then we're moving from a space of reacting to all these feelings into a space of being able to respond, which is a lifetime of training. And you have to keep training in it by feeling those feelings and allowing yourself to be in the greater awareness of them and them being held by the whole to be able to process. You can't just go straight into that as well, right? Without having that kind of processing and that expression, right?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, and that's, I mean, you know, that's why it's, as we say, it's a journey, you know. And at first you may, I mean, I don't know, like if they've heard about the, you know, unconscious to like unconsciously conscious to consciously unconscious to,
isn't it? It's
am I doing this
unconsciously
right?
unconscious.
Unconsciously.
That we're all moving. We're all moving from being unconsciously unconscious to unconsciously conscious,
that's
right? So we start with unconsciously unconscious. We don't know that we're unconscious. Then we become aware that we're unconscious. We become consciously unconscious. And then we work on becoming more conscious to a point that we become consciously conscious because we're working on it.
Conscious. Yeah.
And then eventually the true Zen master is unconsciously conscious just because you don't have to think about it anymore. Right? Isn't that it?
Yeah. And yeah, that's exactly it. And we can find that we might have it, we've probably achieved that in certain areas of our lives as well, like certain thought processes already that we've become, at one point we didn't even know, and now that, you know, we're just moving as so. But that's a lifetime thing as well. That's what we're talking about. That's why we can have so much compassion for ourselves and others, because, you know, it's just the journey.
Yeah, and
of
once again,
becoming
that's
more
not a linear thing,
compassionate.
right? We
That's what we're
joke
here
about that as
doing.
well, right? Like, oh, there I am being unconsciously unconscious again, you know, because there's different parts of our lives that are and different moments where we are more in consciousness and more in unconsciousness, right? And of course, the things that we're the most unconscious of, we're not conscious of the fact that we are unconscious of them. Oh, I said that word too many times, but yeah. And that is it. It's all about compassion. That's really what it comes down to. And that could have been the title of this episode. It's like just to find that compassion of self. And I don't want to, I mean, that even sounds a bit glib. Or just find that compassion. It's not easy. It's not an easy task because of what's been beaten into us as well, literally and metaphorically, you know, but like to really, really love ourselves whole and to stop thinking that there's some idea of something that we should be.
Yeah, and when we're in compassion, actually, it feels really good. Like, I mean, it feels really whole to be in compassion, because obviously that you make in that you're whole with whatever you're in compassion with, you know. So actually, that feeling is something that feeds us here and now as well. So not only does it help us to have compassion for ourselves, but it helps us to have compassion for others. It's like all the great things in life actually feed us, you know. So, you know, if we're loving to another and we have loving, that actually heals our body, right? Like in the same way that these, you know, being in hatred makes us sick. So, you know, yeah, we're not just doing this, we're doing this for ourselves, we're doing this for the
All of those
universe,
that
we're
came
doing it
before and
for,
after
just
as
for
well,
everybody.
you know.
Yeah.
I mean, it is. I mean, I find it so helpful, the compassion thing as well, because, you know, judgment comes up so often of self and of other, you know, and just even understanding that link that the judgment of me is a judgment of other, you know, that's the mirror, the constant mirror. And just going, oh, hang on a minute. Am I actually being compassionate here? Am I actually loving myself exactly where I am? Or am I grasping for some idea of what I think I should be? Or, you know, where I think I should be or how I think I should be. Oh, okay. And it just immediately, the relax comes into the body, the ease comes into the body. Just like nothing's going wrong. Yeah. Oh, I already feel so much better. I'm so glad that we can have had compassion for ourselves today, Isabel. I hope that this episode has brought you, beautiful souls, a little bit more compassion for where you are at in this crazy, beautiful world that we're living in, and on these crazy, beautiful lives that you are living. And please do stay tuned for our embodiment exercises and meditation, as they will help you to drop even deeper into this compassion and self and sense of unconditional love for self. Sending you so much love for the rest of your day, week, year, life.
Sending you loads and loads of love and endless compassion. Bye. Hi, everyone. So today's coaching exercise for this week's podcast is emotion tracking. So, Tārā, are you there?
Hello.
Hi. Okay, let's just start this coaching with just 3 deep breaths. Let's just get into the right. Always helps to make us feel more grounded. So, Tārā, so today what we'll be doing is we'll be exploring the week and feelings that have been coming up for you. Okay, so have the floor. What's What have you been feeling this week? What's been happening?
Gosh, it's even hard to remember, isn't it? So much happens in a week. I have been, today I've been a bit frustrated to start where I am. Feeling a bit stressed out, not very grounded, a little bit, tense about getting stuff done before I go on holiday next week. And I don't know, but I mean, it's funny, because like when you're in it, then that's all you've been feeling. But it's not true. I was actually feeling really, really sociable and kind of in my power earlier in the week. I've also been dealing with like some pain in my body, so that kind of been making me a bit sad. That comes up, like I wake up quite sad, and then I kind of regulate with some meditation, and then and then I was also tripping out on the fact that maybe I was just feeling really good because I was ovulating. That's also what came up for me in terms of my moods and my feelings. Like, I'm feeling really good about myself. Oh, that's just because I'm ovulating. Am I just a hormonal being? But I've been in, I get social anxiety quite a lot, and I've been in some social situations this week that I felt really good in, which is great. And also, I mean, that's probably enough to start with, isn't it?
It's been quite a week. Okay, and so let's just start where we are then, right? So you having all these feelings coming up, and how does that feel in your body? How are you experiencing that?
You mean like all of it, or just today?
Today, just right now.
Just kind of a bit agitated, and I noticed that like I don't have the patience that I would normally have, or the compassion that I have. I'm a bit irritated with different messages coming through for work, and everything feels a bit crammed in and overwhelmed. I feel a bit overwhelmed, like there's too much to do.
And if you let yourself just feel like more into that feeling, does that feel like something that has been there, or does it feel like it's just here today that is coming up, or is this the first time this has come up this week then?
No, I think it's amplified today because I had a couple of glasses of wine last night, and I'm aware that because I don't really do that very often that anymore, that kind of has an impact on my chemistry, and that so I'm probably not feeling as balanced in my physical self. But it is a feeling that does arise quite often of being overwhelmed with everything that I need to do, and like not feeling productive enough. Like reaching the end of the day and feeling like I haven't done all the things that I need to
do. So this is okay. So when you look at it today, say, like as you say, so it's something that's like come up for you quite a lot. So is it true then today then, or is it something that like, so, is there a you that today could be like, oh, actually there's a point when I wouldn't feel this because I'd have everything done, right? Or is this a feeling then that doesn't have a point where you could let go today? Like, would there be a point in your head where if I get all this done, then I'm going to be okay?
Well, what comes up for me is that like, that never really happens. Like I don't normally I rarely finish a day being like, yes, I got everything done that I wanted to get done today and I'm feeling satisfied. I mean, it depends. I think it's also about being self-employed and stuff. Like, so when I, like, if I have a day where I know, like, okay, my job today is to facilitate this workshop, and then I know that that's all I'm doing because that's what I've got to do for the whole day, then I can feel satisfied at the end of the day because I know that I did that and I completed it and I did it well, you know? But if it's like more days than not, well, I don't even know. Yeah, I guess balance ratio time, it's probably more days that I'm sort of doing admin or, building my business or whatever, that then I feel frustrated because I don't feel like I get enough done within each day. Yeah. And then that's amplified, I would say, by the kind of physical state that I'm in. But yeah, definitely that is a recurring feeling.
So it's almost like a compounded feeling. So when there's a compounded feeling, when everything is, what I'm understanding from what you're saying, is when there's no set goals and things aren't, in small sections, like this is what I'm doing. And then there's this idea of like the whole of yourself being like, as an idea of Tārā being like successful, then that becomes something overwhelming because there's so, like, for instance, as you say, you're self-employed. So when the idea is of you having everything done, there is just too much to get done. And then it's hard for you to find any point of release. Is that what you're saying? But when you're actually just saying, I'm doing something and it's broken into smaller aspects, then you can feel satisfied. So when you're waking up in the morning,
Yeah, I think so.
Would it then be fair to say when you wake up in the morning, then that feeling is just the continuation of that feeling of overwhelm, then waking up with that, still feeling that way? And on those days that you do have these like set goals, like for instance, you're facilitating a workshop or something, and and you that's finalized and it's done and it's gone really well, then does that then change the way that you feel into the next morning, or does then that just go straight back into that feeling of overwhelm next morning, regardless of how successful you felt the day before?
Good question. Probably like a yes and. Like I think there is a certain afterglow from having had a good day or had the sensation of having a good day. And there's also the wiring of waking up feeling like there's too much to do. Probably depends what that day holds as well. If it's another day of like set things, like I say, facilitating, or even if it's like, oh, I've got a rehearsal with this person from this time to that time, and then I've got a meeting with that person, that feels like it's about my own capacity to manage my time, I suppose, in some ways.
And would you say that you're over ambitious in what you feel a day can be achieved in one day? Or would you say you're quite fair assessment of?
I think it's really impossible for me to know because I've always been self-employed. And I know that I've learned, and people tell me that I have high standards. I know I have high standards, but at the same time, I also know that I procrastinate. So I think it's quite, I don't know. Even goes back to school. Like I never finished exams, but I always did well in them. Right. So it's like, therein lies the problem. Like, yeah.
Okay.
I don't know how to work fast or work smart fast. Like, full stop.
But you're thorough.
Yeah.
And so
but
do you
also
think
distracted? I mean, I don't know, like I was so
human.
Also human. Also like, not very good at, I mean, it's also, I mean, I think lots of people have this, but like working from home and then the fridge is there and Instagram's there and, and even like, it's really boring. But anyway, like doing, like scrolling, you go on to do work stuff, like to put out an ad for something that you're doing, and then before you know it, you're looking at someone else's bloody page on something. You know what I mean? Like, it's just like, oh. And also it's like responsive as well, right? So it's like then someone messages you about when your next ceremony is, and then you start talking to them about something, and then you get distracted. But do you know what I mean? And it's also hard to know, because you have to respond to things that are coming up in the moment as well, you know, like, because that's your book. I mean, it's also it's also just the need for a PA. But anyway, that's a whole other story. But so you're responding to stuff, and then that distracts you from what it is that you plan to do with the day, right?
Yeah.
And then you have, actually, it's not like you've been sitting watching TV or endlessly scrolling. Like, you have been doing stuff that needed to be done, but it's not the stuff that you were planning to do with the day. So then you're already behind, right?
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. And also it's that thing of like sometimes when, like, obviously if we're feeling low or that voice is a bit harsh as well, then we're looking at, like, there's always never enough then, isn't it? That's just the way that we're processing as well, as opposed to celebrating what it is that we're achieving and being like, oh great, I got that done, and being grateful that I got that done as well. So you know, it's obviously how we're looking at things says a lot. And of course, that, as you say, like, there's days this week where you felt frustrated, and days this week where you felt light and happy, and you know, and in that moment where you felt like, so for instance, when you're at that party and you were doing really well socially and all the rest of it, you know, where was all this work stuff?
What, are you saying I should have been working?
No, I'm saying, where was it in your mind?
I don't know. It was, I don't know. What do you mean? Where was it in my mind? Like, was I thinking about it? Is that what you mean?
Yeah, it wasn't, my point, it wasn't I'm not doing enough at work. It was, I'm enjoying being where I am, right? Like,
Yeah.
right, you were
Yeah.
present, you know. So in that moment, what you were feeling was, you know, you were happy with what you were doing. You were proud of yourself.
Yeah, I was going to say, and actually quite proud of the work that I'm doing as well, because because I'm a geek, so I like to talk about my work in
Great.
social situations.
Great. So actually, that's
I mean, because it's my passion, so it's my life. So, you know, like, I was also, I mean, it's interesting because then you get that feedback from the outside world as well, that makes you realize how much you're creating your own reality on the inside as well, right? Because then it's like suddenly they're there, like, chatting and like, oh yeah, and I'm doing this. It's not just going mad on your own in your little world, not really achieving anything. But it's still, I don't know. Yeah.
well,
Still
just
hard to know how much you're achieving. You know, it's like, yeah.
Well, you know, let's just stay there. Like, when you're then speaking about yourself and what you're doing, obviously you're doing that in a joyful capacity, speaking and sharing. You're not saying, I'm not doing enough. You're sharing all the things you're doing, right? And then and you know, and you're enjoying how that's been received and speaking about that.
It makes me sound really egoic. And then I'm just boasting about who I am to everybody.
No. See that voice? See that judgmental voice of, no, Tara's not allowed to relax and just feel good about what she's doing. No, let's not do that. Because that's the point, right? Because that is actually the point. The point is, you know, in this moment, there's not that voice saying, you know what, you're doing really well. It's that voice of, oh, it's not enough. And that voice of, it's not enough, creates frustration. And of course, in this moment, you're, as you say, you're like wrapping up for going on holiday as well. So then there becomes this immense pressure to get a lot more done in a short space of time.
Yeah. I think it's really, a lot of it is about, like, looking for, like, needing outside validation as well, which I know is something we've chatted about, like, but not wanting to have that, but at the same time we are all these interconnected beings as well. So it's like, it does also have an impact, like, the way people respond to you, and having that kind of collective shared energy around, not being isolated in your experiences as well, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Go on.
Because you're doing really purposeful work as well. So, you're out here doing work that's not only heartful to you, but actually helping others as well. So, it makes sense that when you're then sharing and people get excited about what you're doing, that's going to be energizing you, right? Like that's just standard. Of course, there's a sense of I don't know myself unless people are, if it's that case where you're like, I don't know myself unless I'm being validated and someone's saying, oh, well done, then of course, that's a different conversation. But in that moment when you were feeling good, it's because you were, I'd imagine, just, by what you were saying, it's because you were able to relax and really just speak about what you were doing, in a confident and enthusiastic manner, and people were receiving that. Is that, would you say that? Or am I leading you? No? Yeah.
No, yeah. I was also like, was it just because I had a glass of wine? That's what I was thinking.
I mean, on the same hand, today as well, like we could say as well that you could be feeling more, as you say, more frustrated and seeing things as
Because I had a glass
more
of wine.
overwhelming. Yeah, because you had a glass of wine. I mean, that wine definitely plays a part all over the place, right? And I mean, that's the point. The point is that we're not stagnant in anything, right? We're not just like set in one emotion. We are emotional beings, and therefore, some days we can just feel more overwhelmed, or we can feel more frustrated or more enthusiastic just because as well. Like, there's that sense of that we just are human as well in this. But it is true that when we identify that there's a story behind, like when something's been repeated, right? Like that's what you were talking about, feeling overwhelmed, that it's something, and even then having the pain in your body and the overwhelm, like they can kind of go together, right? Like there's like trying to do too much, right? Trying to push. So then if we just listen to what you were saying, which is when you have small things to do, or not small, but you have set goals, set ideas of what is I'm here to do this today.
Yeah, it's contained things. And it's also to do, I mean, it is about knowing thyself, right, as well, all part of, what we talk, like in terms of like, it's set contained tasks, often involving other people. That's when I feel good.
Great. I mean,
like, okay, I'm going to rehearse with so-and-so, or I'm going to facilitate this, or I'm going to, perform here, or, going to even have a meeting with this person about that, or record a podcast episode with Isabel. Then it feels good. But it's all the other stuff.
Yeah, and I mean, and that's the thing, like what you're saying there is if I have a set intention and then I follow through with that intention and then that is something that I complete, then I can relax, right? Like that's something that works for you. And that's something that you can work with because, knowing yourself, like you can say, okay, well, today, like, for instance, right now, like today, you feel frustrated, there's too much to do. And of course, if you're trying to get everything done and crammed in and it's, not possible, then you're going to feel overwhelmed. Like that, that just makes sense, right? And because your story is, inevitably, because you're you and you're somebody who is very driven and very determined. For those that don't know Tārā, that's your personality type, right? Right. So, of course,
overachiever,
right? So then, actually, it makes sense for you to say, actually, well, what is really possible today? What can I then? Because you want to be happy and you want to be satisfied at the end of the day. So there's no point having, just an endless list of things I've got to do before holiday, because then that's going to leave you feeling like really put out at the end of the day, and therefore you're going to have like to go in and have like anxiety dreams and then wake up. Whereas if you say like, oh, actually I'm going to end the day because as long as I do these 5 tasks, these are the 5 main tasks or the 3 main tasks, I'm going to feel satisfied. And that's what we're setting the intention on then, right? And then anything
I think
more,
that
what were you going to say?
Those lists just never get done. But I think that that's also, again, knowing thyself, to know that I mean, I've been working with this to just kind of find gratitude in whatever does get done as well, and know that I'm doing my best, whatever that means, and that I'm still achieving things regardless. That's also part of it.
And there's also that thing, because of who you are, then it's like, well, if you normally have 6 things on that list because you're that person, then it's like, well, actually, these are the 6 things that I think I need to do to feel great today. And actually, let me pick 3. of those things only. And let me look to say that I'm going to feel content if I achieve these 3. Because it's like changing the way, like, you know, it's actually working with who you are and understanding that those 6 things are already actually overachievers. You know, they're an overachiever's idea, right? And so you've got to start to become more content with what is possible so that you can actually relax at the end of the day. Do you know what I mean? And that's going to be uncomfortable for you, right?
Yeah. I wanted to go back also to this thing of like what was really nice about this exercise is like this kind of feeling of taking a chunk of time. I mean, a week it's irrelevant really. Do you know what I mean? But just using a week because that's what we use, and like tracking the emotions through the week, you know, and seeing then, oh, this was because it makes you more able to see like the cause, like, oh, okay, so I was happy. You know, it helped me to realize how much happier I am when I'm in. when I'm with people, or you know, doing something in a contained way that we just discussed, or whatever, in that way, and also that, you know, that in the week, even though now I'm sitting in this kind of like annoyed and frustrated space a little bit today, that through the week there's actually been a huge range of emotions, which allows me also to let go of connecting to like identifying with any one. You know, it's like, oh, but this week you also felt really great, and you also felt tired, you also felt, you know, so it's like, oh, okay, so I am all of these emotions, right, as well. But the thing that I wanted you to speak into maybe was this idea, like you kind of touched on it a little bit, that okay, cool, so I can see I have all these different emotions, but what becomes difficult is these recurring things that come up. You know, like the you know, that's something that I've struggled with, is that okay, different days can go differently, and I can see how my behaviors can affect that, make it better or worse. But what about the things like this waking up feeling heavy and tired, you know, that I have, and with the pain, you know, that, and that's kind of a consistent thing. And even though I have developed practices to help me to work through them, you know, like I now sit up straight away every morning in bed and I meditate and I work with a chakra alignment to bring me into a greater knowing of myself. But what I struggle with is not identifying with that as my baseline, because it feels like my baseline, because regardless of the day that I've had, I mean, okay, maybe it can be a little bit better or a little bit worse, you know, maybe, and sometimes that's to do with the dreams I've had, and that, I mean, that's a whole other conversation. But you know, returning to a similar state. And I think we kind of began to touch on it because it's kind of like, oh, because maybe often during the days I'm frustrated with myself because I've overburdening myself and overjudging myself or whatever, right? Like, so that has helped a little bit. But it's like how, you know, in this episode we talked about how, you know, we are all the feelings and we're all of it, and it not to identify too much with it. But it's like it's difficult when it's something that recurs constantly.
Yeah, and of course that's the thing, is being able to feel the feelings without identifying yourself as being that feeling, because as you say, like of course it's difficult when you're experiencing, and that's why I think it, once again, I mean, just to to go back, that when you're having that thing and you're waking up in the morning and it's something that is present, then it's great that you have ways of coming out of that, right? By coming into a different awareness. And as you come into a different awareness and change your focus, then you start to feel lighter. That's your experience, right? And also how you go to sleep, like for you in particular as well, how you're going to sleep the night before and how relaxed you are is also going to inform how you wake up in the morning. Because really, otherwise that's just a continuation of waking up in the same ideas, right, in the same mindset, and you know, repeating that pattern is meaning that like this feels also uncomfortably comfortable, right? Like that's the experience. So that's why it's important to bring in new routines and new thoughts. But of course, there's also that understanding that actually, you know, we're not anything in particular, and we are everything, right? So once that's because the resistance is what creates the persistence of that as well. When we're like, oh, how do I stop feeling this? Rather than allowing whatever that feeling is to actually just be felt through us and released on that, you know, because that's also something, right? I'm not saying, oh, you know, therefore I am this feeling and being, you know, fighting that. And why am I this feeling? And, you know, that inner dialogue that happens when we're like, you know, not enough in something, but actually saying, oh, well, this feeling needs to be felt in me. And actually the minute we like, you know, I know you must know this as well, is that the minute actually you just let yourself feel something, it passes by, right? Like it's not, you know, it's like if you're trying not to be angry, the anger just boils up. If you're trying not to be frustrated, you know, so it's like actually just allowing that feeling to pass through you as well. Is important, because sometimes as well, it's like this is just this, what is happening here now for this moment as well. Like maybe you're just going through these feelings because these are feelings that need to be processed. I mean, like you say, like with the overwhelm in the morning, is that something that you felt has always been since you were young, or is it something that you noticed come up at some point?
I don't know. My memory's not good enough. And yeah, I don't.
Okay.
I mean, I don't think as a child. I don't think that there's that. Well, yeah, no. I don't know. It's maybe a longer conversation. I mean, I've had nightmares my whole life, so I often wake up feeling heavy. And that, yeah, even though there's nightmares, it's like there's deep pull to my sleep space as well. So, and I think maybe I felt like a bit of an overwhelming sense of responsibility in life through various things. We can go deeper into that, but you know why. But yeah, whatever. So maybe that's kind of like a waking with a feeling of responsibility. Yeah, it's probably been there for quite a long time. Or a feeling of like not necessarily wanting to deal with what there is to deal with. Yeah.
So I mean, that's the thing. The thing is like actually if we're seeing from a certain perspective, right, and then we're engaging with life from that perspective, then those feelings repeat, and they, you know, because that's like, it's like the difference from feeling like in like, so when you're in survival, right, like you tend to feel those feelings that are attached to survival, which is that, you know, anxiety and overwhelm, and you know, and then when we're in feeling like within a more relaxed and in a more, just a relaxed, more allowing space, we tend to see things and feel things differently. And like you said, like, you know, like even just like maybe like having that glass of wine yesterday or whatever day that was, allowed you to relax. And therefore what happened in that moment was a more grateful and relaxed way of being. So it's also about like, you know, obviously coming to know oneself, and as well, like, yeah, feeling these feelings and allowing the feelings to pass by us and not getting attached to the feelings is really important. But on the same hand, when something is repeating and repeating, then often it's because there's a shift of perspective that needs to happen in order for us to be able to start to feel and see differently, right?
Like, what are the beliefs that are upholding that feeling? Like, what are the underlying beliefs?
Exactly. And that's why when we were talking earlier on about like, yeah, like actually fundamentally, as an overachiever, or fundamentally as someone who's feeling that the responsibility for everything lies on you, someone who, you know, takes on all that, you know, and because some people have a lot of responsibility, but they don't feel burdened by it. Some people, you know, have a lot to do, but they don't feel overwhelmed by it. So it's not, you know, it's not how somebody else is doing. It's just you personally, right? So actually understanding that, you know, what you are setting for yourself and the way that you are seeing life is like, I don't have the ability to do everything that I need to do. And you're the one that's created that reality in your mind. Do you know what I mean? So it's like, actually, it's just so, you know, I'd imagine that it's just be a case of actually, well, how do I then look at myself in a way that, like, what is the truth then? What's the truth? What's the truth? What's the truth? What's the truth? Right? Like what? So, like, so for instance, you know, like just look at today then. Like, you know, that's why I go back to today. It's the same thing. It's like, well, actually, how right now could I allow myself to relax? what would I do right now in order to be able to let go of this feeling that, you know, I'm in overwhelm, like there's not going to be enough time. Like, what would be okay? What could I now say? Because remember, intention creates as well, right? So like actually how you manage this moment, because there's only this moment, is going to, you know, actually inform how the next moment goes as well. And that can be really difficult when we're just in that state, to be able to find a different way of seeing it, because we're stuck in the way we're seeing it, right? That's the point. Like, you know, so I think it's a case of just working with changing our personal reality by changing by adapting our personality as well, like being like, oh, actually, okay, how can I see this in a more purposeful way? What's the best way for me to interact with my ideas then? What, you know, yeah, just that, like just today, what's going to make you fulfilled now? What could help you right now?
Are you asking me?
Yeah. Like, what's going to help you today? Like, you know, what would be enough for today?
Well, I mean, it makes me think of what we've talked about previously, of just kind of like, actually, you know, it's the emotions around things that don't necessarily, like, they change, but the stuff doesn't change. Do you know what I mean? Like, at the end of the day, I will have recorded stuff for the podcast, and I will have, achieved some things, and maybe I haven't achieved as many things as I wish to, but it's also okay. Do you know what I mean? And tomorrow's another day. That's, you know, the way I kind of adapt to it as well. And also to be able to step outside of the emotions and to say that, exactly, I'm not these emotions, actually. These are just things moving through me, maybe due to various things, as I've identified already, you know, the glass of wine, the frustration about having so much to do. Yeah. And it's okay to just to kind of let them go in that flow of the week and be like, oh yeah, Friday was a day that I felt a bit frustrated about stuff, but tomorrow's Saturday and that's a different day, you know, not to take it forward, I guess.
But even just like to be specific with today, like actually, so even that would be, there could be a sense of, okay, I'm going to do this, and, you know, but it's like, actually, when am I going to allow myself to relax? Do you know what I mean? Actually have a point where actually, do you know what, I'm going to do this, and I'm going to be really like, yeah, satisfied with this. I'm going to set that actually I'm going to, these two things, and they're possible. And I'm going to, because actually that gives you a moment to be like, yeah, because otherwise there's a sense of, with somebody who's an overachiever, is that there's never enough. That actually there's no point where I'm going to feel. And of course, we can let these feelings be felt. And it's like, yeah, of course, we're just letting go and all the rest of it. But then we don't want to be picking up them tomorrow as well. We want to have, do you know what I mean? That's the point. We don't want to just continue on with the same patterns. And these patterns are stories that we're carrying all our life. So if we just, you know, so there is like, yeah, let the feelings be felt. And we are all of these feelings, and we have, you know, but when something keeps repeating, then it's like, you know, how do we then raise our vibration in the way we're seeing, you know, in the way, like, how do we embrace ourselves more? How do we give ourselves more space? Right? Like, yeah, of course. Are you with me? Right? Like,
yeah, I mean, I guess that's about developing like embodied tasks as well, right? Like to praise oneself, you know, regardless. And that's great. I mean, and then we get into gratitude practices, you know, which I'm also getting better at as well. Being grateful for what has been achieved, being grateful for what is. Yeah.
Yeah, and it's a constant thing, and it is a daily practice, right? That's what it is. It's the daily practice. So it's like today where you are feeling overwhelmed and you are feeling frustrated, like, you know, this is definitely the day to actually be more purposeful with, actually, yeah, this is what I'm going to, if I get this done and this done, then I'm going to be grateful that I've done that, and then I'm going to put that down and close that book. Do you know what I mean? And then I'm going to relax, and then I'm going to...
And definitely, like, what I've got better at is, like, before I would kind of like work through, you know, like, it's like, oh, well, you haven't got done what you wanted to get done today, so you better keep going past 6 o'clock, 7 o'clock, 8 o'clock, 9 o'clock, you know, when I was running my theatre company, until 6 o'clock the next morning often, right? Like, and then still not achieving the list. Whereas that's where, like, my embodied practices come in, where it's like, regardless of where you are at the list, even if you haven't got halfway through task 1, which is sometimes my day, you know, I'm gonna put down stuff before the sun sets and get out and have a walk, you know.
Exactly.
I'm going to make sure that there is healthy food in the fridge for me to have a decent meal, you know, and not end up eating at 11 o'clock at night. I'm going to value conversations and time with my daughter and give her the space that she needs and that I want to give her as well, you know. Yeah. That's,
being grateful for the whole of you, right? And the fact is that that's why we always have that, you know, death as our advisor as well. Like, it's a bit deep, but the point is that this is the day. This is your day.
Yeah.
This isn't a you know, it's not like, oh yeah, but then there's tomorrow. I mean, obviously, the point is it's here now, and it's how do I really relax into the now of myself as well. And and a part of that is obviously embracing what you feel now, but obviously working with what your higher desires are for this day as well, rather than just being in the reaction of it as well. Like, because that's the thing, is sometimes we just get, you know, we just continue on in the same thought as well, like the same, you know, frustration or whatever, and then we continue. It's like, no.
Well, I just think that, like we've talked about already, like, it's just that they're so hardwired as well, right? Because it's like, I can know all these things, and I know we talk about this a lot, but like knowing all these things and allowing them, hence why we made a podcast called Embodying Spirit, because you can know them all, but how do you allow it to really drop down into the body and into the knowing and into the daily practices, right? Like, that's the thing. So it's like, I can know that I have lots of things to be grateful for, and I can know that it's only now, and I can know that death is my advisor on my left shoulder. You know, I can know all of these things. And yet I can still wake up with a sense of heaviness, because that's the learnt behavior patterns that I've been embodying since I was small, right? Like, since before I had that level of consciousness. And so it is like, you know, we think we're so clever to be thinking in our minds, but we have to bring it into the daily practice of our bodies. And so simply by, regardless, you know, saying, okay, after 6 o'clock, I'm not going to work or whatever, and I'm going to shut my books and I'm going to say, well done, Tārā, you are a beautiful light warrior that has achieved greatness today and will achieve greatness, you know, tomorrow. And you're going to go and have a beautiful walk, and and whatever else the evening may hold. Yeah.
By staying present, exactly, staying present with actually the most important thing, which is you being here now, right? And grateful for yourself and compassionate for yourself as well. Like, that's the thing, is often when we're stressed and all these stuff, though, that's the thing, is that we've just lost, really, we're lost ourselves. We're in either the past or the future, and the not enoughness. And of course, that's what we can do so easily. That's true. But it's just important to remember that actually, you know, nothing's as, like, all of these things will just continue on as well. Like, there'll be, like, tomorrow will come, then I'll get stuff done tomorrow, and then I'll get stuff done, you know. But right now,
No, I was going to say the image of a river comes to me as well. Just, you know, as we kind of close on this, I think, but just the you being in the river and all of these different emotions and feelings and experiences just washing past you. And I think that is a thing, right? That, I mean, not to try and hold on to the banks, and not to try and cling on to the water even, or stop yourself, but just to allow yourself to flow through it, and to know that you're never going to be in the same spot of the river again, right? Because you just kind of, you keep flowing through.
And that's the thing, is remaining the awareness of that rather than attach. And that is the practice, right? That's constantly, that's why we meditate. Like they say, like, if you're stressed, meditate double the time, right?
Yeah.
So you can still, because that peace is there, but that's, you're that's always there. It's always available. But when we're in the story, then we become tense in the body and tense in the mind. And, and that's why we do need to have ways of just organizing ourselves as well. And it's easy when we're happy, right? And when we're feeling all those good emotions, because we don't even look to contain that, right? We're like, yeah. But that's the truth. The truth is all of these emotions are just passing by. And that's what actually makes us human as well. So.
And only when we judge them that they become problems.
Yeah, exactly. So,
Thank you.
So it's really, thank you. So just to bring it all together. So basically it's just about being able to really look over your week and to be able to allow yourself to be okay with everything that came up, and to always remember that actually, that it's just aligning with yourself here and now as well, and giving yourself permission to relax in whatever's coming up for you, and knowing that it will change as well. So
everything always changes.
Yes, this too shall pass.
Impermanence.
So anyway, yeah, I think it's the meditation next. So let's bring this to a close.
Thank you.
Lots of love, and look forward to the meditation. Bye for now.
Hello, beautiful souls, and welcome to this week's meditation for episode 8. And I'm going to take you on one of my favorite meditations. It's actually the meditation I use for the beginning of my sound journeys and my overnight ceremonies. It is a beautiful chakra alignment meditation. And I guess I chose it for this episode because we've been talking about the fact that if there's, whilst there's still turmoil in the world around us, then there must be turmoil within. And I find this a beautifully grounding meditation. In fact, I use it in my morning practice as well. So you can adapt it as you like. But I'm going to be doing it with my rainbow crystal bowls as well to help. So it's a little bit of sound healing at the same time. So finding a comfortable space and where you're going to be free of distractions for the next little while. And beginning to turn your attention inward. And becoming aware of all of the sensations within. Becoming aware of all of the energy that you are, all of the life contained within you. Just bringing an awareness to any areas that feel alive or any areas that feel blocked or stagnant, without any judgment if possible. Just bringing your attention towards yourself. Becoming aware of your breath. Becoming aware of your breath coming into a softening belly. Without any strain or effort, allowing the breath to elongate a little bit. With each breath becoming a little bit deeper and a little bit longer. Allowing the breath to fall into the pit of the belly. With every inhalation, becoming aware of all the sensations within you. And with every exhalation, just letting it all go. With every inhalation, becoming aware of all of the spaces in between the organs, within the cells, between the muscles and the membranes. And with every exhalation, just letting it all go. With every inhalation, becoming aware of any places that might feel tight, any places where you can't sense the sensations, any places that are calling out for your attention. And on the exhalation, letting it all go. Becoming aware of yourself being supported by this beautiful earth beneath you. All of this beautiful energy that you are contained within this beautiful body, supported by these beautiful earth energies rising up to meet you. Becoming aware of where your body is in contact with the floor, with the ground, with the earth. And in those places where there is contact, just asking them to relax and release a little bit more, to surrender their weight a little bit fully to the earth beneath. Becoming aware of this beautiful long spine that you have through this body. This long cord of energy that stretches right from your tail all the way to your top. This beautiful cord of which everything else is hanging, suspended. This beautiful cord at your center. Seeing this cord as a cord of light at your core. And as you inhale, this cord of light glows brighter. And as you exhale, it extends its light out into the rest of your body and out into the universe beyond. This cord of light that's at your center extends all the way down your spine. And seeing it continue down past the end of your spine into your legs, all the way down your legs into your feet, all the way out the bottom of your feet, down into the earth beneath you, all the way down through the earth, through the layers of rock, through the layers of magma, all the way down into the center of the earth, where a giant crystal is glowing bright. Your cord of light wraps itself around this crystal, anchoring you deep into the earth beneath you. This crystal contains all you need to be safe and anchored, to be secure here in this world. As you inhale, this crystal glows brighter. And as you exhale, it sends its beautiful glow up your cord of light, all the way up through the layers of magma, through the layers of rock, through the layers of earth, all the way up through your feet, through your legs, through your spine, all the way up your spine, through your neck, where the cord continues. It continues to go through your head, all the way up, and exits at the crown of your head. The cord of light continues up through the sky, through the clouds, through the stars, all the way up through the atmosphere into the stratosphere, until it reaches a beautiful star directly above you. Your star. This star contains all the magic in the universe you will ever need, and it's connected to every single other star in the universe. As you inhale, the star glows brighter, and as you exhale, it extends its magic glow all the way down through the cord, all the way down through the sky, through the clouds, all the way down till it enters your head at the crown, all the way down, filling you with its glow. So here you are, anchored deep into the earth beneath you and high up into the sky above you. On this cord of light, at the base of the spine, at the point of the perineum between the anus and the genitals, a bright red orb of light is glowing bright. This orb of light contains all you need to be secure, to be stable, to be grounded, to be held, to be nurtured and nourished. As you inhale, this orb of light glows brighter, and as you exhale, it extends its bright red rays out into your base, into your buttocks, into your legs, into your feet, finding any areas that feel tight or stuck and bathing them in its bright red rays. Moving up the cord of light to the point of the sacrum, the ovaries, the lower back, the hips. On this cord of light, a bright orange orb is glowing bright. This orb of light contains all you need to be in balance, to be in connection with other beautiful souls, to be in your full sensual and sexual health, to be in your true feminine powers. As you inhale, this orb of light glows brighter. And as you exhale, it extends its rays out into your pelvis, into your hips and lower back, finding any areas that feel tight or blocked and melting them gently in its bright orange rays. Moving up the cord of light to the point of the solar plexus, a bright yellow orb of light is glowing bright. This orb of light contains all you need to do and act in the world, to be fully creative and in your full expression of self, to play. As you inhale, this orb of light glows brighter. And as you exhale, it extends its rays out into your solar plexus, your diaphragm, your stomach, all your internal organs, finding all the areas that feel tight, finding all the spaces that feel dark, and bathing them in its bright yellow rays. Moving up the cord of light, this cord of light that's anchored deep into the earth beneath you and high up into the sky above you. At the point of the heart, a bright green orb of light is glowing bright. This orb of light contains all you need to know that you are love, you are loved, you are loving, you are spirit now and always. You're connected in true community and compassion. As you inhale, this orb of light glows brighter. And as you exhale, it extends its beautiful green rays out into your lungs, your heart, your chest, your rib cage, your shoulders, your arms, your hands, penetrating you with this beautiful green ray, finding any areas to melt and soften. Moving up the cord of light to the point of the throat, a bright blue orb of light is glowing bright. This orb of light contains all you need to speak your truth and stand in your power. As you inhale, this orb of light glows brighter. And as you exhale, it extends its rays out into the muscles of your neck and throat, into your mouth, your jaw, your teeth, your gums, your tongue, softening and enlightening everything in its beautiful blue rays. Moving up the cord of light to the point of the third eye between the eyebrows, in the center of the head. A bright indigo orb of light is glowing bright. This orb of light contains all you need to connect to your intuition, to have sight beyond sight, and have the inner knowing of wisdom. As you inhale, this orb of light glows brighter, and as you exhale, it extends its rays out into your skull and brain, penetrating the areas behind your eyes and between your ears, finding any spaces that feel tight or dark and bathing them in its beautiful indigo rays. Moving up the cord of light to the point of the crown as your cord leaves your head. A brilliant violet orb of light is glowing bright. This orb of light contains all you need to know that you are whole, that you are all, that you are spirit now and always, that you are. As you inhale, this orb of light glows brighter. And as you exhale, it extends its rays out into the universe beyond, connecting with all the other lights and bending its rays round to connect back on your cord underneath your feet, creating a beautiful luminous egg, holding you safe and strong. So here you are, this necklace of rainbow, anchored deep into the earth beneath you and high up into the sky above you. Here you are, a necklace of rainbow light, dancing, 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 with every inhalation glowing brighter, with every exhalation surrendering deeper. Here you are for eternity. Beautiful souls, I invite you to stay in this space as long as you can. Continue to enjoy this visualization or allow yourself to transition into your chosen meditation. However, you may also now desire to come back into the space, to wiggle your toes and your fingers, to become aware of what you can smell, what you can taste, what you can feel, what you can hear. And slowly allow the eyes to flutter open to see what you can see. Have a glass of water. Bring a smile to your face. And blessings for your onward journey. Much love. Thank you so much for listening to Embodying Spirit with Tārā and Isabel Almeida. This podcast is brought to you by Rewire Desire and the Conscious Connection community. Please see the links to our social media and websites in the show notes to connect more and access our other offerings. This podcast is brought to you free of charge to spread the love and light we all so deeply need in these times of transition. If you feel abundant, safe, and in a space to be able to give from, we would deeply appreciate your support to sustain this gift. Please follow the link below to make a donation. If you would like to connect deeper and would consider becoming a more active partner, then please reach out to us. We look forward to you tuning in again with us soon. Love always, Tārā and Isabel.